Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Take 5. We're going to look at Exodus 23, 1 through 9. Hopefully, we can get it done in 5 minutes, but it's all around the same subject, and you'll see that now. Thank you so much for watching, by the way. And I want to add this too. If I don't do one tomorrow, it'll be because of the weather that I wound up stuck somewhere where there was no internet. Anyway, we'll get into that later, but let's go right now. Verse 1, do not spread false reports. Do not help a guilty person by being a malicious witness. All right. And that's just, and I've certainly gotten in trouble. And we talked about this when we were in the Ten Commandments. But just tell the truth. Don't be making up stuff, just to get somebody in trouble. That's what he's saying there. Isn't this practical? Written all these years ago, and yet it's still so practical for us today. Verse 2, do not follow the crowd in doing wrong. How about that? Is that practical? When you give testimony in a lawsuit, do not pervert justice by siding with the crowd, and do not show favoritism to a poor person in a lawsuit. In other words, just be fair. Don't go with the crowd. Don't help somebody just because you feel sorry for them. Just be honest. Tell the truth. Look at here, verse 4. If you come across your enemy's ox or donkey wandering off, be sure to return it. If you see the donkey of someone who hates you falling down under its load, do not leave it there. Be sure you help them with it. And it's just be a good neighbor. Even if it's your enemy, it says. You don't take advantage of them. Wow, how about that? But Jesus said the same thing, didn't he? Remember, he said, love your enemies. So there you go. Verse 5, do not deny justice to your poor people in their lawsuits. And look, in this country, how many times do poor people get the shaft, huh? And if you got money, you can get away with anything. Well, God says don't do that. Verse 7, have nothing to do with a false charge, and do not put an innocent or honest person to death, for I will not acquit the guilty. All right. And again, it's just the idea of being fair, regardless of whether they're poor or rich. You don't take advantage of people. Verse 8, do not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds those who sees and twist the words of the innocent. All right. So don't let money influence what you do. All right. Do you think they could use these lessons in Washington? Do you think they could use them in our government and in politics and maybe even in our churches? Maybe. I'm not saying anybody at your church takes bribes or anything, but certainly in our government we could use these things. Verse 9, do not oppress a foreigner. Are you glad about that? Do not oppress a foreigner. You yourselves know how it feels to be foreigners because you were foreigners in Egypt. Now, of course, this is written to the Jews that were foreigners in Egypt, but you're kind of a foreigner in this country. You came from another country, and thankfully, as a nation, we're pretty good about not oppressing foreigners. Although here lately, if you look at the news, there's lots of talk about that, isn't there? There's lots of talk about illegal immigration. There's talk about refugees. Well, we need to follow the Bible here. It says don't oppress a foreigner. Now, do we need to be careful and not let terrorists in? Yeah, I think so. But generally, we need to have a generous heart toward people. All right. I don't know how long that took. Going to find out here in a second. But hey, it didn't do too bad. 3.5. Hey, come back tomorrow, maybe. If not the next day, for the next edition of Take 5.